Now the sun is just starting to climb up over the treetops, and it's gonna be a beautiful day, that's plain to see.
Welcome to Bill Dance Outdoors, America's most popular and longest running TV fishing show.
Now I've gone fishing with Bill Dance today.
Hello everybody. Don't believe for a minute that a jerkbait is only a dead winter or early spring technique. It extends long after the heavy coats and jackets come off and the short sleeve apparel starts showing up. In fact, it lasts for me till the heavy coats go back on. You could actually say, under the right conditions, it's a 12-month-a-year lure. These elongated slim down jerkbaits are very well known as cold water lures, 45 degrees and above, but they're excellent warm water baits, 80 degrees and above. The reason bass like jerkbaits so well is because of their appearance. They have the shape, profile, and action, and in the mind of a bass, they're very easy to swallow. Holy baby. Okay, now let's see what, don't do any of that jumping with 9 hooks in your face. Okay, pretty little fish. Yes, you are. That one banged it pretty good. Okay, let me tell you something else. The biggest difference between winter and summertime jerkbait fishing is where and how you fish it. Now in the winter, when the water temperature is in the 40s, I may allow the lure to pause 8, 10, 12 seconds between the jerk series. But during the summer, and when the water temperature is, say, 70, 80 degrees or even warmer, I'll work it at a much faster pace, as you'll see today. All this is wrist, eye, and rod tip coordination. They're all working together. I'm not trying to overpower the bait. This water's in the low 70s, these fish are active, and they will chase a bait. And they want the bait. This bait's got a lot of reflection to it. It's got a silver side and it puts out a lot of light and reflection as you move it along. Got a flat side, so as it moves, it's like a mirror. Take a flat-sided mirror and hold it flat. It reflects much more than a rounded type object. You see that reflection in that side. See how it reflects? Got a tremendous amount of reflection. The old Rogue, it's a good bait too. You tell those old boys down in southern Louisiana on Toledo Bend, down in that area, as far as jerk baits go, what's your favorite jerk bait? Rogue. Rogue. No doubt they're sensational little baits, and you can cover lots of water with them quickly, and with a little imagination, you can fish them in a variety of effective ways. And then the pads, there's a double up. And let's see what we'll do here. I'll get this one out. There's one. And there's two.
Bill Dance Outdoors is sponsored in part by Bass Pro Shops. Your adventure starts here. Rebel, catch fish anywhere. And by Mercury Marine, go boldly. Today's Conditions Log is brought to you by the Tennessee Department of Tourist Development. Come experience the kind of beauty that can only be made in Tennessee. Go online today for your free Tennessee vacation guide.
There's one. Good one. Oh, baby. Out from the boat. Pretty fish there. Okay, now open up. Yes. Pretty fish. Yes. See you, boy. Hey, at this time of the year, bass are still feeding on the same bait fish. Sure, it's a little larger, faster, and more active, so you gotta vary your retrieve more and cover more water. That's why I like this bait and outfit that I'm using. I can make very long casts with it. This bait is a Smithwick Rogue. It's 4.5 inches long, weighs a ½ ounce, and suspends about 6 feet deep on a long cast. It has a nose down attitude, which allows it to dive quickly as a result of a unique counterbalance weighting system. Now my rod choice for fishing this guy is a Quantum 7-foot medium action with a light tip, and the reel is a Quantum 100 series spool with strand 14 original clear. A perfect combination for this type fishing. All I can see is white. There he is. Woo! Pretty one there. Yes, you are, and healthy too. See you around there, partner. This type lure works best in a clear to lightly stained environment. Being an eye contact bait, bass actually need to see the lure. I know for a fact it'll pull fish up out of deeper water, even when they're not that active. And that's saying a lot about one lure. If you're going to fish a jerkbait, summer, fall, winter, spring, and I recommend you give it a try, your first consideration is nearly always going to be picking the best area where you fish. And let me tell you, this is going to vary from lake to lake simply because on some lakes bass prefer cover, on other bodies of water the lake may be void of cover, and on another they may select and stay close to structural features. And it's your job as an angler to break it down and find the best overall place or places. You got to experiment and try different things. It's a learning process, and believe me, every bit of it will pay off sooner or later. Oh boy. Go up onto the boat like you're supposed to.
Today's show is sponsored in part by Quantum Rods and Reels, Mystic Lubricants, Lubrication Domination, and Tracker Boats, fish the finest. Today's equipment log is brought to you in part by Fish Defunk. It keeps your hands scent-free and clean so fish can't smell you. Use Fish Defunk unscented while fishing and Fish Defunk scented after fishing to remove all odors. Today's show is sponsored in part by Stren, the standard of dependability since 1958. Lure Lock, turning the tackle world upside down. And Garmin, fight your fish, not your fish finder.
There's a good one there. I saw him just come up there and bust it. Come out from on the boat, boy. I got one out. I got both of them out. Had a pretty one. Yes, sir. See ya. Now here's something that's really funny. I hear fishermen say all the time, is my jerkbait running deep enough? Well, you don't have to get it to run very deep in clear water, simply because bass are gonna move up a great distance to bust it. But seldom will they go down to get it. You know, they don't. They come up to get it. So don't worry about them going down to get it. That's why you want to fish a jerkbait in clear water. It just performs better in a clear water environment. When you do draw bass up at a great distance, he's usually committed. That's one key reason your twitch and pause presentation or cadence is so doggone important. You know, a lot of beginners to this type of fishing understand the twitch, pause, twitch presentation, but what they may be missing out on is that the pause, not the twitch, that produces strikes most times. Now, like I said earlier, water temperature dictates the length of that pause. It can vary from 15 seconds in ice water to as short as a couple of seconds in hot water. Now, you want to vary your presentation. Like today, I'm catching these fish with, I'm moving the bait. I'm just pause for a second or so and then I'm moving the bait. So you've got to experiment with different presentations. If the fish are a little bit inactive, that twitch, pause, twitch presentation could be the best presentation to use. But just, you've got to experiment with it. The action in the profile of the lure gets the bass's attention, but the strike comes on the pause the majority of the time. Let me show you how I've had my best success fishing this bait in cold water. I make a long cast and then I reel it down several feet. Then I pull it and I let her set. That's the pause. Then I pull her again and I let it set, taking up the slack. I seldom reel the lure, only pull it. Now in hot water, or warmer water, my presentation is totally different. Watch. It's much faster. I make the long cast. I'll make a long cast like so. And once I get it out there, like I say, it's much faster. It's like I've been fishing it. I'll twitch, twitch, twitch. I might pause just a second, but it's basically twitch, 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 all the way back to the boat. But keeping that slack line there. But the key is to use a medium action rod. A rod with a soft tip. See that tip? Look at that tip. You don't want a real stiff action rod because it'll work you to death. The Bill Dance Question and Answer of the Week is brought to you by Mystic Lubricants and their complete line of JT4 marine products. A full line of products for your full line of pursuits. Visit mysticlube.com today. What do you think about the ever-changing technology in fishing electronics? Well, I see it as a very exciting time for anglers. The fine folks at Garmin have continued to amaze me, be it traditional sonar, down view, side views, or Panoptics. It's all really is combining to give us a much bigger and better picture of the underwater world. All that said, even the best electronics can't make a fish bite.
Today's show is sponsored in part by Millennium Marine, a new class of comfort. And Motor Guide, trolling motors engineered for anglers. Closed captioning provided by Power Pole, the original shallow water anchor. Today's product tip is brought to you by Garmin and their GPS map series, chart plotter sonar combos. With advanced sonar technology like Chirp and exclusive Panoptics all-seeing sonar, you'll spend less time finding your fish.
I'll never forget one of the many things my grandfather taught me about fishing, and that was being quiet. Maybe he wanted me to hush up so he could concentrate. No, seriously, many times it pays off. And that's why I like this little 4-stroke motor so doggone much. It allows me to idle back through this shallow cover without even spooking a minute.
Come be a part of Bill Dance Digital. Join us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Follow us.
Better fish there. Ooh. Show yourself there, old boy. Okay. There we go. Oh, got another. Oh, there it went. A pretty little fish. You know, a little bit earlier, I mentioned I prefer at least a 7-foot rod for this type of fishing, simply because it gives me the best overall lure action and control. And I also mentioned a little bit ago, the longer rod allows for longer cast. But what you've got to always be aware of is it's very easy to overpower your lure during the presentation because you can move so much line. Okay, now, speaking of line, I prefer mono over fluorocarbon simply because fluorocarbon sinks, and that can affect the performance of my lure, especially during the pause. I'm not letting this lure pause that much, but there's times you do let it pause. Here's something else I think is important. You know, during the colder months, when the temperature is below, say, 60 degrees, on down around 55, even down to 50 degrees, even in the high 40s, I don't create very much action to a suspending Rogue. I really don't want it to have a lot of action, and I don't use real flashy colors. A high percentage of the time, I keep my boat in deeper water and cast shallow, so I can cover any break lines where bass may be suspended. By working from shallow to deep, I can cover both shallow structure and the cover, as well as the actual drop itself. But if I try to work my lure up the slope, I either run into the bottom or the cover. And if the fish are shallow, I may spook them by moving in with my boat. Jerkbaits can be fished almost anywhere, but areas close to deeper water are usually best. Probably the #1 structural feature of all is a point, and if it's got deeper water next to it, well, you better not pass it up. Good. Oh yeah. Get help patrolling motor. Whoa, yeah, look here. Yep, nice one. Ooh-wee. There he goes. Look at that pole, but under the boat he goes. A nice one too. All right, come here, big one. Woo! Hook right there. Look at that pretty baby. He's a nice one. He's a nice one, they say. Or a nice one. I'll say he's a nice one. Well, like I said this morning when we got together, you don't need a heavy coat in 40-degree water to fish this fantastic lure. It's a short sleeve lure also. Give one a twitch, a jerk, a pause, and see what you think. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.
Thanks for watching Bill Dance Outdoors. Join us here again next week.
Now I've gone fishing with Bill Dance today.